The Warhammer 40K universe is a vast and grim tapestry where every corner of existence tells a story steeped in war, faith, and forgotten legacies. Amidst the unrelenting chaos of the galaxy, towering god machines, titans, stand as both symbols of humanity's indomitable will and devastating instruments of destruction. These mechanical colossi, powered by ancient technologies and piloted by brave princeps, are the embodiment of the Imperium's defiance against annihilation. But what happens when these mighty engines falter? When the inevitable toll of endless conflict and millennia of decay reduces them to rusting husks? The fate of Titans is a mystery shrouded in shadow, their colossal forms disappearing from battlefields to destinations whispered of only in the darkest corners of the Adeptus Mechanicus's archives. These enigmatic resting places, known as Titan graveyards, are said to hold more than just the remnants of fallen machines. They guard secrets that could unravel the fabric of the galaxy itself. Though countless Titans have fallen in the Imperium's defense, their final destinations are veiled in obscurity. Only fragments of lore hint at what lies within these graveyards. Are they solemn sanctuaries, meticulously guarded by the Omnissiah's faithful? Or are they accursed wastelands, cursed by the spirits of machines that never found peace? These questions linger like shadows, a puzzle that few dare to unravel. In this journey, we will explore the forgotten fate of these majestic constructs. What forces shape their destiny? Who controls these hallowed grounds, and what truths do they conceal? To uncover the mysteries of the Titan graveyards is to delve into a story that spans the Imperium's rise and fall, its triumphs and tragedies. The god machines may be mortal, but their legacy endures. What secrets do their silent tombs hold? And more importantly, what warnings do they offer to a galaxy teetering on the brink of oblivion? The Titan graveyards are more than resting places for ancient war machines. They are points of convergence for powerful factions, each with its own motives, beliefs, and agendas. At the heart of these desolate sanctuaries stands the Adeptus Mechanicus, guardians of knowledge and servitors of the machine god. For them, Titans are not merely tools of war. They are divine instruments, manifestations of the Omnissiah's will. When a Titan falls, the Mechanicus views its fate with religious reverence, sometimes seeking to restore the lost god machine, or, when that is not possible, to safeguard its remains from desecration. Tech priests and magos dominus are often dispatched to oversee these somber sites, tending to what they see as sacred relics. Their purpose, however, extends beyond preservation. There are whispered rumors that they seek forgotten technologies buried in these graveyards, fragments of knowledge that could elevate their power or plunge the Imperium into ruin. Alongside the Mechanicus are the Legios Titanicus, the warrior orders of the Titans themselves. Each Legio sees its Titans as more than engines. They are family, their loss a grievous wound. These Legios often appoint Sentinel orders, elite cadres tasked with ensuring that the remains of their fallen war machines are treated with respect. For them, dishonor in death is unthinkable. Some among these orders dedicate their lives to pilgrimage across battlefields, recovering fragments of their former war cohorts in an endless quest to preserve their lineage. There is a rumor among battlefield commanders that some Sentinel orders have even clashed with Mechanicus operatives over how Titans should be handled after their destruction. Another force with a vested interest in the Titan graveyards is the Inquisition. Inquisitors know that the destruction of a Titan is not always a simple matter of war. It can signify something far darker. Some Titans have fallen after encounters with warp-spawned horrors or under the influence of malefic corruption. For the Inquisition, the graveyards are not merely places of decay, but sites where treachery may fester. Agents of the Ordo Malleus and Ordo Xenos often investigate these locations, searching for evidence of heresy or alien interference. In their wake, entire sites have been quarantined, and records of their findings locked behind vaults no mortal can access without sanction. On the periphery of this conflict, Rogue factions such as rogue traders and scavenger fleets also play a significant role. The lure of priceless archaeotech and ancient relics draws these opportunists to Titan graveyards. To a rogue trader, the remains of a Titan could mean immense wealth and influence. Entire expeditions have been launched with the singular goal of retrieving Titan-grade components, though few return intact. These expeditions are not without peril. Some scavengers speak of horrors lurking amid the rusted hulks, ancient defenses that still function despite the death of the Titan itself. The Ecclesiarchy, too, holds its own views on the fate of these colossal machines. To them, a fallen Titan is a symbol of martyrdom, a representation of the Imperium's sacrifice in the name of the God Emperor. Pilgrimages to these graveyards are not uncommon. There are accounts of sanctified shrines being erected upon the husks of Titans, their carcasses draped in banners bearing scripture. While the Ecclesiarchy may not directly involve itself in the collection or destruction of Titan remains, its influence shapes how these sites are perceived by the faithful. In the shadows, dark forces also circle these graveyards. Cults devoted to chaos revere fallen Titans as potential tools of desecration. Some cults believe that the remains of a Titan can be used as a conduit to summon demonic presences into the material realm. These factions are known to risk everything to reach such sites before loyalist forces can secure them. The idea of a corrupted Titan rising from the dead is not merely a grim fantasy. It has happened before, and it is feared it could happen again. Meanwhile, Xenos factions view these sites with their own intent. The Eldari see some graveyards as scars upon the galaxy, their ancient seers often forewarning that these sites must remain undisturbed lest they awaken forces better left buried. Some craft worlds have been known to send strike forces to prevent further desecration, while others use their farseers to seal sites with psychic wards. The Necrons, on the other hand, regard the Titan graveyards with cold disdain, yet reports exist of tomb worlds activating upon sensing such mechanical remnants, either to destroy them or repurpose their remains in ways humanity cannot comprehend. Orc warbands, ever drawn to massive machinery, occasionally raid these locations, hoping to salvage parts to create their crude but deadly war constructs. Finally, there is the threat of the Tyranids, for whom the vast deposits of metallic remains represent potential biomass consumption through the stripping of valuable resources and the targeting of those who protect them. Although they care little for the spiritual or historical significance of the Titans, their presence on such sites has led to catastrophic battles that have left entire graveyards swallowed by bioorganic reclamation swarms. The Titan graveyards are battlegrounds of ideology and ambition, where the sacred meets the profane, and where factions from across the galaxy clash over what remains of the god machines. In this sprawling theater of conflict, the actors come not only for power and glory, but also for control over the very legacy of humanity's technological triumphs and failures. Each presence shapes the destiny of these hallowed grounds, ensuring that the echoes of their wars will resonate for centuries to come. The origins of the Titan graveyards are rooted in the very nature of the Imperium's eternal war. The god machines were never intended to be immortal. Although their towering frames and ancient systems made them near invincible, the demands placed upon them across the millennia have strained even their monumental resilience. The Imperium of Man has long relied on Titans as the embodiment of overwhelming firepower, but the galaxy's unending tides of conflict take their toll. Every battlefield where Titans stride leaves behind not only victory or ruin, but often the broken remains of these machines. Some battlefronts became so catastrophic that entire maniples of Titans were reduced to molten wreckage. Over time, a critical issue arose: what to do with these ruined colossi? The necessity for Titan graveyards began during the early stages of the Imperium's conquests. As the Great Crusade brought the galaxy under human rule, it became evident that even the most formidable Titans could fall to concentrated firepower, devastating Xenos technology, or arcane corruption. The Mechanicum, responsible for their construction and maintenance, was not only tasked with ensuring the Titans' operational status, but also with addressing their destruction. During those early wars, Titan losses were considered temporary setbacks, with retrieval efforts often focused on repair. However, in many cases, recovery was impossible. Some war zones were too dangerous or distant, while other Titans were too severely damaged to salvage. The tragedy of these losses deepened during the Horus Heresy, a civil war that ripped the Imperium apart. The scale of destruction wrought by the heresy exceeded all expectations. Titans clashed with their own kind in battles that reshaped entire planets, leaving behind fields of debris and ruin. In the aftermath, some Titan legios were so decimated that their surviving members could do nothing but abandon their fallen. Entire cities of wreckage formed from the remains of war machines that had once stood as paragons of imperial might. The Imperium, reeling from betrayal and ruin, was forced to reprioritize its resources, often abandoning devastated battlefronts where Titans had been reduced to hollowed-out shells. After the heresy, the Imperium entered an era of desperation. The galaxy had become fractured, with chaos warbands, orc empires, and alien enclaves rising in the wake of the Imperium's weakened grasp. Titans remained crucial to warfare, but the sheer volume of losses from countless conflicts made it clear that new protocols were needed. Entire Forge worlds found themselves unable to keep up with the demand for new god machines. This scarcity transformed each Titan into a priceless relic. The remains of destroyed Titans, previously seen as little more than casualties of war, became invaluable resources. Tech priests scrambled to recover not just machinery, but sacred components believed to carry the essence of the machine god's blessing. Still, despite their efforts, the galaxy's vastness meant that many Titans were lost in regions that could not be reclaimed. Thus, the concept of Titan graveyards emerged, initially born out of necessity rather than design. The problem was exacerbated by the Imperium's deteriorating ability to travel freely across the galaxy. Warp storms, failed expeditions, and encroaching Xenos fleets meant that some war zones became completely cut off from aid or salvage. Titans destroyed in these forsaken places became the first permanent residents of the graveyards. Entire swaths of space became strewn with the remnants of Imperial might, from the rusted skeletal frames of Warhound scouts to the shattered citadel carriages of warlord-class behemoths. The Titan graveyards were never intended to become what they are today, but circumstances beyond mortal control shaped their destiny. Another significant factor in the creation of these graveyards was the nature of the Mechanicus itself. The Adeptus Mechanicus, while unparalleled in their ability to craft and repair Titans, is bound by dogma and ritual. For them, recovering a destroyed Titan is as much a spiritual process as a mechanical one. Yet some tech priests believed that once a Titan's machine spirit was extinguished, it could never be truly restored. These more orthodox elements viewed the remains as sacred and untouchable. This led to disagreements between more pragmatic tech magos, who sought to strip fallen Titans for usable components, and those who believed that disturbing a Titan's remains was sacrilege. These theological debates resulted in Titans being left to rest in consecrated graveyards rather than risk profaning their legacies through improper rites. Additionally, the rise of the Inquisition influenced the growth of Titan graveyards. Inquisitorial orders became deeply involved in determining the fates of Titans that were lost in suspicious circumstances. The aftermath of certain battles revealed evidence of heretical influence or corrupting warp energies. In such cases, the Inquisition often ordered entire Titans to be entombed or destroyed rather than risk any possibility of their corruption spreading. In some instances, the Inquisition requisitioned Mechanicus personnel to seal off entire sites, creating vast quarantine zones filled with the remains of machines deemed too dangerous to recover. The final piece of the puzzle lies in the Imperium's sheer scale. The galaxy is vast, and the wars of the Imperium are innumerable. Titans, despite their grandeur, are finite. The Imperium has never been able to replace losses with the same speed as the destruction of its war machines. Each sector has its own tale of Titan loss, and as conflicts erupted across countless systems, the remains of Titans accumulated, forming makeshift resting places. These sites eventually became formalized over centuries, gaining a somber reputation among those who travel near them. The events that led to the creation of the Titan graveyards were shaped by tragedy, necessity, and the harsh realities of interstellar war. They are not merely places of death. They are echoes of the Imperium's most desperate moments, forged from the remnants of its greatest battles and bound by the rituals of those sworn to protect its legacy. These graveyards are not the result of a single cause, but rather the culmination of the Imperium's endless struggle to survive in a galaxy of horrors where even the mightiest creations of humanity cannot escape the inevitability of ruin. The emergence of the Titan graveyards followed a grim sequence of events, spanning millennia of relentless warfare and logistical strain. The earliest stages were marked by chaotic efforts to recover fallen Titans amid ongoing battles. During the Great Crusade, Titans that fell were often left where they collapsed, surrounded by debris and the remains of their enemies. Expeditions to recover their remains were launched whenever possible, but the ferocity of war meant that many of these attempts ended in failure. Over time, entire war zones became littered with unclaimed wreckage, the remains of engines too damaged to be recovered or too costly to repair. As humanity's conflicts grew in scale and brutality, the Horus Heresy became a turning point that altered the fate of Titans permanently. The sheer devastation unleashed during that period left entire worlds covered in the wreckage of the god machines. Battlefronts like Beta Garmin and Molech became known not just for their strategic importance, but for the enormous number of Titans destroyed in combat. In the aftermath, once the traitor legions had been repelled or consolidated their gains, the Imperium was left to confront a sobering reality. There were too many destroyed Titans and not enough resources to recover them all. Entire regions of space were written off as graveyards, too devastated or corrupted to justify salvage operations. In the centuries that followed, the Imperium developed more structured approaches to dealing with fallen Titans. After the Scouring, an era of brutal retribution against the forces of chaos, recovery efforts became prioritized by necessity. Titan remains were categorized based on their strategic and technological value. Forge Worlds issued mandates that designated some regions as too resource-intensive for recovery. These regions became the first formalized Titan graveyards, vast expanses where fallen war machines were abandoned under ritualistic rites of entombment or simply forgotten as wars moved elsewhere. The Age of Apostasy, a period defined by civil strife and theological conflict, further contributed to the spread of Titan graveyards. As the Imperium fractured from within, many war zones were consumed by chaos. Titans deployed in these conflicts were often destroyed alongside the populations they sought to protect or pacify. The administrative chaos of this era meant that no centralized authority could coordinate efficient salvage operations. Titan remnants accumulated in forgotten sectors, their presence marked only by the rumors of voidfarers and lost data logs. The rise of the ecclesiarchy during this time also led to the development of new practices surrounding the Titan dead. As the church's influence grew, the wreckage of certain Titans was sanctified as holy relics. Battlefields containing the remains of these machines became sacred sites of pilgrimage, further cementing their status as untouchable monuments. This practice ensured that some Titans would remain forever in place, their frames covered in the trappings of martyrdom rather than dismantled for parts. During the Age of the Beast, the Imperium faced a surge in Xenos incursions and rebellion. The Imperium's response was to deploy Titans en masse to halt invasions from orcs, tyrannids, and other threats. While the god machines proved devastatingly effective, many were deployed to systems with minimal Mechanicus support, leading to catastrophic losses with little chance of recovery. Some war zones became infamous for the sheer volume of Titans lost. Graveyards born not from ritual, but from abandonment due to logistical failure. Reports from expedition fleets detail regions filled with derelict Titan frames floating in orbit, circling dead worlds where apocalyptic battles once raged. In more recent millennia, the threat of chaos and heresy has continued to shape the existence of Titan graveyards. The 13th Black Crusade and the Noctis Eterna darkened vast swaths of Imperial space, cutting off vital sectors from the rest of the galaxy. Entire Forge worlds fell silent, and with them, countless Titan maniples lost all connection to their home Legios. Titans destroyed in the wake of these events were often left where they fell, as recovery fleets vanished into the warp or were destroyed by newly arisen Chaos warbands. Some graveyards grew not because of formal policy, but because of sheer isolation and the unforgiving vastness of the void. Efforts to recover Titans from these graveyards have not ceased, but they have often ended in disaster. During the Cadian Gate's collapse, several recovery fleets sent to retrieve Titans from devastated war zones were obliterated by traitor forces lying in wait. Similarly, attempts to recover Titan remains from worlds besieged by Tyranid splinter fleets have led to Pyrrhic victories, with salvage ships returning empty-handed or not at all. Despite these setbacks, some Titans have been retrieved from their graves, either as a result of extreme dedication from their Legio or because their discovery held critical importance to the ongoing war effort. The creation of Titan graveyards is a story of war, loss, and the Imperium's stubborn refusal to yield, even when it is forced to abandon its greatest weapons. The accumulation of dead Titans across the galaxy was not a single event, but a process shaped by centuries of desperation and sacrifice. From worlds drowned in conflict to deep space derelicts adrift in the void, each graveyard serves as a reminder of battles fought, victories claimed, and tragedies endured. Some have become solemn shrines, others forgotten ruins, but all stand as monuments to the fragile mortality of the god machines and the enduring determination of the Imperium to wield them in its endless war for survival. The pivotal moment that defined the fate of the Titan graveyards was the formalization of the Sanctification Doctrine by the Adeptus Mechanicus. This decree was born out of necessity after countless debates within the Mechanicus priesthood regarding the fate of Titans that could no longer be restored. For millennia, there had been no unified approach to dealing with the hulking remains of god machines scattered across war zones. Some Forge worlds stripped fallen Titans for components, while others insisted on leaving them untouched, believing their sanctity would be defiled if disturbed. These conflicting practices led to chaos, with Legios bitterly divided over how to honor their dead. The Sanctification Doctrine, established in the aftermath of a particularly devastating conflict known as the Siege of Gathalamor, marked the first time a standardized protocol was issued across the Mechanicus regarding fallen Titans. Gathalamor had been a vital Forge world besieged by an alliance of Chaos warbands that unleashed unrelenting waves of corrupted war machines. The defense was led by several Titan maniples, but the battle's intensity saw dozens of these colossal machines fall in defense of their forges. In the end, victory was secured at a catastrophic cost. Entire maniples were reduced to twisted wreckage, their machine spirits extinguished amid molten metal and ash. Once the war ended, a fierce conflict emerged, not on the battlefield, but within the halls of the Mechanicus itself. Several powerful Forge worlds dispatched emissaries to claim the remains of the fallen Titans, each arguing that they had a greater right to salvage these invaluable relics. What began as a disagreement quickly escalated into a series of bitter standoffs, with some Legios even deploying forces to guard Titan carcasses against opportunistic tech recovery fleets. The tensions threatened to spark a civil war among the Mechanicus, a conflict that the Imperium could ill afford so soon after the devastation wrought by the siege. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Archmagos Dominus Hestiac Voral convened an emergency synod on Mars, gathering the highest-ranking Magos and representatives from the Titan Legios. Vorel argued that a unified stance was needed not only to prevent further infighting, but also to preserve the machine god's legacy. The Sanctification Doctrine was proposed as a resolution to this crisis. It mandated that any Titan deemed irreparable must undergo a ritual of sanctification to purify its remains. Once sanctified, a Titan's frame was to be either preserved in a designated graveyard or dismantled under strict rites of dismantlement. Only Forge worlds deemed worthy by the Fabricator General could recover sacred components from these Titans, and even then, only after a thorough review. The decision to enforce this doctrine was not universally welcomed. Several Magos believed that declaring certain Titans irreparable was an admission of failure, a heresy against the belief in the Omnissiah's infinite providence. Others saw the doctrine as a necessary measure to maintain order and prevent reckless disputes. What made this decision truly significant was its effect on the Imperium's approach to war itself. The doctrine reinforced the perception of Titans as relics too sacred to be handled without reverence. This shift in mindset placed an even greater emphasis on the ritualistic nature of war within the Imperium and the preservation of its technological legacy. In the immediate aftermath of the doctrine's implementation, several graveyards were officially consecrated. The world of Gravon Ultima was chosen as one of the first official sites of sanctification, a barren planet whose crust was scorched during the Horus Heresy. The remains of dozens of Titans from the siege of Gathalamor were interred there under strict Mechanicus supervision, with the rites broadcast across nearby sectors as a symbol of unity. Gravon Ultima became a template for future graveyards, its solemn expanses serving as both a warning and a monument to sacrifice. However, the Sanctification Doctrine did more than just establish order. It set in motion a cultural transformation that would have long-term consequences. Some Titan Legios began to revere their fallen brethren even more fervently, seeing them as eternal sentinels who had ascended to a higher purpose. Pilgrimages to Titan graveyards became common among tech priests seeking enlightenment or divine inspiration. This newfound reverence, while strengthening the faith of the Mechanicus, also led to unintended complications. Efforts to reclaim certain war zones were delayed or halted altogether due to disputes over whether the Titans resting there should remain undisturbed. Over time, the doctrine's influence extended beyond the Mechanicus. Imperial commanders and ecclesiarchal leaders began to view Titan graveyards as holy sites. Some sectors incorporated these graveyards into local traditions, holding ceremonies to honor the fallen god machines. This fusion of religious veneration with military protocol reshaped how the Imperium approached large-scale conflicts. When entire maniples of Titans were deployed, there was a new layer of consideration, not just for the victory at hand, but for what would happen if these mighty engines fell. The doctrine served as a stark reminder of the cost of war and the near-impossible challenge of replacing such invaluable constructs. Despite its unifying intentions, the Sanctification Doctrine also created fractures within the Mechanicus. Splinter groups formed, claiming that the doctrine's rigidity stifled innovation and technological progress. These dissenting factions, often operating in the shadows, sought ways to bypass or reinterpret the doctrine, driven by the belief that every Titan's remains should be reused to strengthen the Imperium's war effort. These groups were branded as heretics by Orthodox tech priests, further contributing to the hidden wars fought behind the scenes of the Imperium's larger conflicts. The Sanctification Doctrine remains one of the most consequential decisions in the history of the Adeptus Mechanicus. It not only defined how fallen Titans are treated, but also reinforced the divide between those who see war machines as sacred icons and those who view them as tools of necessity. The doctrine's legacy endures in every graveyard where Titans lie entombed, their shattered forms watched over by the faithful and coveted by the desperate. This decision ensured that the Titan graveyards would never be merely fields of wreckage. They would become eternal sanctuaries of honor and loss, binding the fate of the god machines to the Imperium's endless struggle for survival. The Titan graveyards have left a profound mark on the galaxy, shaping the Imperium's military, spiritual, and technological landscape. These resting places of the god machines have become far more than repositories of wreckage. They influence everything from battlefront strategies to interplanetary politics. The presence of a Titan graveyard within a system often alters its status entirely, elevating some worlds to sites of religious pilgrimage while condemning others to isolation and neglect. These graveyards have become symbolic reminders of the Imperium's glory and its vulnerability, monuments to both triumph and ruin. On a practical level, the existence of these graveyards imposes logistical and strategic challenges. In certain war zones, battle plans must be adjusted to account for the vast swaths of land dominated by Titan wreckage. Some regions are so densely packed with mechanical debris that ground forces must navigate labyrinthine expanses of shattered titanic remains, where ambushes and choke points are all but inevitable. This has led to infamous conflicts where entire regiments were lost within metallic graveyards, unable to extract themselves from the maze of ruin before enemy forces descended upon them. These sites have become contested zones where opportunistic factions seek to exploit the wreckage for cover or resources, creating battlefields within battlefields. Economically, the Titan graveyards represent both a burden and a potential source of wealth. The resources tied up within the remains of a single Titan are vast: adamantium plating, plasma reactor cores, and data cathedrals that house ancient cogitation engines. For Forge worlds and scavenger fleets, recovering these components could mean the difference between ruin and survival. However, accessing these graveyards is often fraught with bureaucratic obstacles. The Adeptus Mechanicus enforces strict oversight over the sites, demanding adherence to complex rituals before any recovery operations can take place. This has led to delays and disputes, with entire recovery expeditions stranded in orbit for years, waiting for approval that may never come. On the spiritual level, the impact of the Titan graveyards resonates deeply within the Imperium's cultural psyche. The faithful view these sites as consecrated ground, where the spirits of fallen god machines rest in eternal service to the Emperor. Pilgrimages to graveyards have become common, with countless Imperial citizens traveling great distances to offer prayers at the feet of shattered Titans. Entire shrine cities have sprung up around some of the more accessible graveyards, adorned with relics and banners proclaiming the sacrifices of these titanic protectors. This veneration strengthens the resolve of the faithful, but also fosters superstition. Stories of miraculous visions and prophetic dreams linked to the graveyards are widespread, further deepening their mythic significance. However, this reverence has a darker side. Some isolated worlds near Titan graveyards have devolved into fanaticism, their populations convinced that they are custodians of sacred relics too holy to be touched. In extreme cases, local populations have formed militant cults that violently resist any attempt by the Mechanicus or Imperial forces to reclaim Titan remains. These zealots often view the arrival of recovery fleets as an affront to the spirits of the Titans, leading to bloody conflicts. The Imperium is frequently forced to expend valuable resources to pacify these worlds, often at great cost in both manpower and time. The graveyards also serve as grim reminders of the Imperium's fragility. Their presence fuels internal tensions within the Adeptus Mechanicus and the greater Imperium. The sheer number of fallen Titans highlights the Imperium's inability to fully safeguard even its most powerful assets. Each graveyard is a testament to the losses sustained in countless wars, feeding the fears of those who believe the Imperium is slowly losing its technological edge. This fear has driven some Forge worlds to pursue forbidden experiments in their desperation to produce new Titans capable of enduring the galaxy's unrelenting wars. In their quest to avoid the fate of their predecessors, some factions have skirted the boundaries of orthodoxy, risking excommunication and heresy. The Xenos races of the galaxy have also taken note of the Titan graveyards. Some Aldari seers claim that the psychic echoes of the fallen Titans disrupt the immaterium, causing subtle tears that warp reality in their proximity. Orc warbands view these sites as treasure troves of mechanical scrap, perfect for constructing their monstrous war machines. There are numerous accounts of orcs launching crusades not to conquer worlds, but to strip graveyards of their titan remnants. These scavenging efforts often leave graveyards even more desolate, their ruins twisted into crude, grotesque amalgamations that mock the Titan's former glory. In contrast, the Necrons have been reported to use Titan graveyards for their own mysterious purposes. Some believe that certain Necron dynasties view the wreckage as trophies, remnants of the Imperium's reliance on weak, organic minds to control machines that should never have faltered. Other reports suggest that Necron forces have harvested Titan remains to study the peculiarities of Imperial machine spirits, though the true purpose of these actions remains unknown. The influence of the Titan graveyards extends even to the warp. Some inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus argue that the lingering psychic residue of the Titans' deaths, combined with the suffering they endured in their final moments, creates points of instability in the immaterium. There are documented cases of warp rifts appearing near graveyards, their emergence accompanied by strange phenomena, echoes of long-forgotten battle hymns, ghostly silhouettes of Titans reliving their last moments, and sudden outbursts of destructive energy. Whether these occurrences are the result of warp interference or some darker manifestation remains a topic of fierce debate within the Inquisition. The existence of Titan graveyards also has a symbolic impact on the Imperium's enemies. To the forces of chaos, they represent proof that the Imperium's strength can be broken. Heretical warbands sometimes establish bases within graveyards, using the fallen Titans as fortresses or monuments to their defiance. These desecrated sites are seen as proof that even the mightiest machines can be corrupted and destroyed. For those loyal to the Imperium, such desecrations are an unbearable insult, often prompting brutal purges to cleanse these sites and restore their sanctity. Despite the graveyard's association with ruin, they also serve as a testament to the Imperium's resilience. For every Titan that falls, another is constructed, its frame forged in the forges of Mars and its spirit consecrated for war. The graveyards remind the Imperium's defenders that survival comes at a price, and that even in defeat, the legacy of the god machines endures. In this way, the Titan graveyards shape the Imperium's narrative, reinforcing the belief that no sacrifice is too great if it ensures the continuation of humanity's eternal struggle against oblivion. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Titan graveyards is the persistent legend of the Awakenings, stories passed down among princeps, tech priests, and battlefield commanders about Titans that seemingly refuse to die. According to these tales, certain Titans possess machine spirits so powerful and willful that even after catastrophic destruction, they linger in a half-sentient state. In these myths, Titans have reactivated briefly, their reactor cores sparking to life in defiance of their ruin. Whether it's true or not, these accounts have spread widely, fueling debates about whether the god machines possess more than just mechanical intelligence, and whether the graveyards themselves are haunted by the remnants of their former glory. In some cases, entire legios claim that they have witnessed such awakenings. These stories often describe desperate moments on the battlefield when the shattered remains of a Titan's wreckage surged to life, unleashing one final blast from its remaining weapons to turn the tide of a losing fight. The Adeptus Mechanicus, however, dismisses these reports as superstition or coincidence, pointing out that malfunctioning systems and unstable reactor discharges can create such illusions. Still, the belief persists, especially among princeps who speak of their bond with their Titans as something deeper than mere synchronization, a connection akin to shared consciousness that transcends death. Another unique point of fascination surrounding the Titan graveyards is the legend of the Forgotten Legios. While many Titan legios are recorded in the annals of the Mechanicus, there are whispers of maniples and entire battle groups whose records were deliberately erased after catastrophic failures or acts of betrayal. The graveyards, according to these rumors, hold the final resting places of these forgotten Titans, their insignia stripped, their histories obliterated to preserve the honor of the Imperium. Some claim that they've stumbled across the skeletal remains of these forgotten titans, marked by unfamiliar heraldry, with no corresponding entry in any Imperial database. This mystery has given rise to speculation that the Imperium's archives are incomplete, hiding grim truths about betrayals, doomed campaigns, and experiments that went horribly wrong. One of the most controversial theories discussed among lore enthusiasts is the possibility that some Titan graveyards may house not just Imperial Titans, but remnants of ancient war engines from the Dark Age of technology. These colossal machines are said to be older than even the oldest Titans of the Collegia Titanica, possessing unknown weapon systems and power cores far beyond anything currently understood. While there is no verified evidence of these so-called proto-Titans, numerous unconfirmed reports from rogue traders and exploration fleets fuel speculation. Some Mechanicus expeditions have been rumored to seek out graveyards, not to recover lost Imperial Titans, but to search for signs of these ancient constructs. There is also ongoing fascination with the defensive mechanisms that some Titan graveyards are believed to possess. The most famous example is the Gravane Ultima site, which is rumored to contain automated defense systems left behind by the Adeptus Mechanicus to deter looters and invaders. According to witness reports, entire scavenger fleets have vanished after attempting to breach these graveyards. Survivors who managed to return speak of devastating automated turrets, gravitic mines, and pulse fields that detect and eliminate intruders. The mystery surrounding these defenses has only grown with time, as the Adeptus Mechanicus has never publicly confirmed or denied their existence. This has led to wild speculation about graveyards that might be protected by more than just mechanical defenses. Some believe that ancient and forbidden AI constructs, remnants from the earliest days of humanity, may still guard these sites. Another highly debated topic among the fan community is the notion of Titans dreaming in their death. Some princeps believe that the remnants of a Titan's machine spirit enter a dormant state within the graveyards, replaying their final battles endlessly in some mechanical afterlife. The concept of these dreams is reinforced by the stories of explorers who claim to hear distant war horns, vox chatter, and metallic grinding sounds emanating from graveyards where no functioning machinery should exist. The more superstitious members of the Imperial Guard and Mechanicus who have served near graveyards often insist that these phenomena are real, describing strange experiences of static-filled whispers and the overwhelming sense of being watched. Skeptics, however, argue that these accounts are nothing more than the effects of war trauma combined with the eerie atmosphere of vast, silent wreckage fields. There are also theories that some graveyards may not be graveyards at all, but forgotten battlefields frozen in time. Proponents of this idea believe that certain Titan assemblies are not the results of deliberate burial or abandonment, but the remnants of battles where neither side emerged victorious. In these cases, Titans may have fallen in formation, locked in poses that suggest they were still trying to carry out their orders in their final moments. Some archaeotech specialists believe that studying the configuration of these Titans could reveal clues about the final moments of long-forgotten wars, but these theories remain speculative at best, as few graveyards have ever been fully mapped or studied due to the logistical and spiritual challenges they present. The Titan graveyards also carry an air of existential dread, particularly due to the fear that they may become monuments to future failures. The Imperium's inability to replace Titans at the same rate they are lost has led to a growing belief that the graveyards could one day outnumber the living Legios. This grim possibility has fueled discussions among the Adeptus Mechanicus and Titan Command about increasing production efficiency, but these efforts are hampered by the sacred rituals involved in Titan construction. The possibility of a future in which only hollowed-out remains of Titans litter the stars is a terrifying prospect, one that looms over every new conflict. One final subject of endless intrigue is the concept of resurrection maniples, a theoretical collection of Titans that could be reconstructed from parts recovered from multiple graveyards. In theory, this could restore entire maniples to service, but in practice, it is considered heretical by many within the Mechanicus. The notion of piecing together a Titan from the remains of multiple fallen god machines is seen as an affront to their sanctity. Nonetheless, rumors persist that some Forge worlds, desperate to bolster their Titan fleets, have attempted such projects in secret. If true, these hybrid Titans would be considered both abominations and miracles, depending on who you ask. The ethical and theological implications of such constructs continue to fuel heated debates within Mechanicus circles and among lore enthusiasts. The unique mysteries and controversies surrounding the Titan graveyards make them one of the most discussed topics within the Warhammer 40K universe. These ancient resting places provoke not only awe, but also fear and curiosity, with each theory and rumor adding to their legendary status. Whether they are haunted by echoes of the past or conceal truths too dangerous to comprehend, the graveyards remain powerful reminders of the Imperium's victories, losses, and enduring struggle to maintain its technological dominion. Among the many figures tied to the history and lore of the Titan graveyards, a few stand out as key players whose actions and legacies shape the perception and fate of these sites. Each of these individuals, whether through brilliance, zeal, or tragedy, left an indelible mark on the graveyards and the stories surrounding them. One such figure is Archmagos Zarhalin Orth, often referred to as the Harbinger of Ruins. Zarhalin was renowned for her obsession with understanding the death of Titans. Unlike many within the Adeptus Mechanicus who viewed fallen Titans as relics to be honored or salvaged, Zarhalin sought to decode the failures that led to their destruction in an effort to create an invincible Titan. Her work took her across some of the most infamous Titan graveyards, where she meticulously cataloged every fractured plating, melted reactor core, and decimated void shield generator. Though many admired her dedication, others viewed her as dangerously fixated. Zarhalin's ultimate downfall came during the excavation of a long-forgotten Titan burial site on Halor Prime. She insisted that one of the Titans had experienced a rare form of machine spirit failure, though her peers warned her against tampering with the spirit remnants. Ignoring their protests, she attempted to reactivate the remains, resulting in a catastrophic plasma surge that destroyed the entire excavation team. Her legacy remains controversial. Some tech priests praise her as a visionary, while others see her as a cautionary tale about hubris in the face of the unknown. Another pivotal figure is High Prelate Dalus Tormund of the Ecclesiarchy, whose zeal turned several Titan graveyards into sites of religious pilgrimage. Dalus believed that the fallen Titans were avatars of the Emperor's divine protection, their sacrifice imbued with spiritual significance. Charismatic and unwavering, he convinced entire Imperial worlds to revere these wrecks as sacred relics. Tormund's greatest triumph was the Sanctification of Gravan Ultima, where he led a procession of hundreds of thousands of faithful across a continent-sized expanse of fallen Titans, converting the battlefield into a colossal shrine. However, his fanaticism was also his greatest flaw. When he attempted to establish another sacred site on Castor Bellis, he clashed with the Adeptus Mechanicus, who saw his interference as an affront to their authority. The resulting conflict led to a bloody schism in the region, causing significant losses on both sides. Tormund's name became synonymous with the tension between religious devotion and technological reverence, and his fate remains unknown. Some say he disappeared into one of the Titan graveyards, seeking divine revelation. Princeps Erend Karthos of Legio Ignatum is remembered not only for his unparalleled skill in piloting a warlord-class Titan, but also for his haunting demise. Known as the Unyielding, Karthos led his maniple through some of the bloodiest campaigns of the late M41 era. His Titan, Dominion Invictus, a symbol of defiance against insurmountable odds. However, during the infamous siege of Coryphus, Dominion Invictus was brought down by a concentrated assault from renegade Titans. With its reactor critically damaged and its frame shattered, Karthos made the fateful decision to initiate a partial shutdown rather than detonate the reactor. His last communication was a cryptic message declaring that the machine spirit still dreams. To this day, Dominion Invictus lies at the heart of the Coryphus graveyard, its remains untouched by both loyalist and traitor forces. Karthos' decision is both revered and questioned. Some view him as a hero who preserved the honor of his Titan, while others criticize him for failing to follow protocol and deny the enemy a symbolic victory. A different, more enigmatic presence in the lore of the Titan graveyards is Sion Magos Korion Fel, known for leading one of the largest and most controversial recovery operations in recent history. Fel's expertise in archaeotech allowed him to devise ingenious methods for recovering Titans from dangerous graveyards, including war zones littered with active remnants of warp interference. Despite his success, Fel's methods often skirted the boundaries of accepted Mechanicus doctrine. He believed that the machine spirits of Titans could be partially restored through complex rituals of reassembly, even when their original cores had been irreparably damaged. This practice led to accusations of heresy, with some Mechanicus factions claiming that Fel's reconstructed Titans were little more than soulless constructs masquerading as holy engines. The height of the controversy came when Fel unveiled a hybrid Titan built from components recovered from 6 different graveyards, a colossal machine that performed with unmatched efficiency in battle, but was seen by purists as an abomination. Fel vanished after a Mechanicus purge targeted his forged ship, and to this day, stories of his ghost Titans linger, with reports of war engines bearing no recognizable heraldry appearing on distant battlefields before disappearing without explanation. There is also the tragic figure of Amara Velst, a former inquisitorial investigator whose career was defined by her studies of the psychic echoes surrounding Titan graveyards. Velst was one of the few sanctioned by the Ordo Malleus to investigate the strange disturbances that often occur near sites where large numbers of Titans fell. Her research led her to propose the controversial theory that certain graveyards act as psychic amplifiers, drawing warp phenomena to them due to the trauma and destruction imprinted on their surroundings. While her findings were initially dismissed as speculative, they gained credibility after an incident on the moon of Kelthi Safor, where an entire Imperial Guard regiment was wiped out by a warp storm that manifested within moments of their arrival near a graveyard site. Velst herself vanished during an expedition to an uncharted graveyard known as the Vale of Saints. Her disappearance, combined with the unsettling records she left behind, has led to wild speculation that some graveyards may be more than just resting places. They could be scars in reality itself. These figures exemplify the diverse and often conflicting perspectives surrounding the Titan graveyards. Whether driven by ambition, faith, or desperation, each left behind a legacy tied to the enigmatic nature of these sites. Their stories serve as a reminder that the Titan graveyards are more than fields of wreckage. They are arenas where ideals, beliefs, and obsessions clash, shaping the fate of the Imperium in ways both seen and unseen. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding the Titan graveyards is the true nature of the machine spirits housed within the colossal war engines. While the Adeptus Mechanicus maintains that these spirits are complex data constructs bound by sacred programming, there are persistent theories that suggest something far more profound and unsettling. Some believe that the machine spirits of Titans possess an essence that goes beyond artificial intelligence, hinting at a fusion of technology and something akin to a soul. This has led to the unsettling question: what happens to the machine spirit after the Titan is destroyed? Are these entities truly extinguished, or do they linger trapped within the wreckage of their broken shells? This theory is further supported by numerous unconfirmed reports from recovery teams and scavenger fleets who claim to have experienced strange phenomena near graveyard sites. Accounts of whispered commands crackling over long-dead Vox systems, unexplainable fluctuations in Auspex readings, and moments when dormant systems briefly power on without cause have become common tales. Some insist that these occurrences are merely the result of environmental damage or latent power surges, but others believe they are signs that the spirits of these god machines remain restless, replaying the final moments of their destruction in a loop of eternal suffering. Another debated topic is the exact origin and purpose of some of the oldest Titan graveyards. While many are known to have formed during key historical events, there are several graveyards whose origins remain completely unrecorded in Imperial archives. These sites, often located in remote or abandoned sectors, contain Titans with no known heraldry or allegiance, leading to widespread speculation. Some believe these graveyards date back to the dark age of technology, housing prototype war machines from humanity's earliest wars. Others suggest that they could be remnants of forgotten conflicts from the Horus Heresy, involving legios that were purged from history for reasons unknown. This lack of information fuels the unsettling notion that the Imperium itself may have hidden entire wars from public record to preserve its narrative of unity and strength. There is also the persistent question of whether some Titan graveyards serve as more than simple resting places. Certain graveyards, particularly those situated in warp-tainted sectors, have been linked to strange gravitational anomalies and temporal distortions. Some scholars of the Ordo Chronos have proposed that these sites may act as temporal anchors, tethering moments of history to specific locations. This theory is reinforced by reports of time dilation effects experienced near certain graveyards, where survey teams have returned to their ships only to find that weeks had passed in what felt like mere hours. If true, this raises the alarming possibility that some Titan graveyards could be linked to the Immaterium in ways that the Imperium has yet to comprehend. A related theory suggests that some graveyards may have been deliberately seeded with Titans to serve as traps or lures. According to this line of thought, Mechanicus factions embroiled in ancient feuds may have created false graveyards filled with sabotaged or unstable remains, designed to lure rival Forge worlds into catastrophic salvage attempts. If such traps exist, they represent a dangerous escalation in the shadow wars fought between Mechanicus sects, where sacred machinery becomes a tool of vengeance rather than reverence. The graveyards have also sparked debate over the possibility of lost or unknown legios. The standard Imperial narrative insists that all loyalist Titan legios are accounted for in the historical record, but the discovery of Titans bearing unknown insignias within certain graveyards has fueled speculation that there may be entire maniples of Titans unrecognized by the Imperium. Whether these Titans belong to experimental projects, shattered forces that never reported back, or factions wiped from history for heretical reasons remains unclear. The question of these ghost legios continues to provoke endless discussion among historians, some of whom believe that the Imperium deliberately erased these legios from the records to protect its legacy or hide catastrophic failures. Another enduring mystery concerns the defenses that some Titan graveyards seem to possess. While it is widely accepted that the Mechanicus has placed defensive measures around certain graveyards to prevent scavenging, the nature and origin of these defenses remain unclear in several cases. There are graveyards where no official Mechanicus oversight is recorded, yet recovery expeditions have reported encounters with automated turrets, gravitic mines, and other deadly defenses. This has led to theories that some graveyards may contain ancient defense protocols dating back to the time when Titans were first created. Others propose that these defenses could be remnants of failed Mechanicus experiments in artificial intelligence, suggesting a connection to forbidden technologies. There is also considerable debate over the fate of Titans that fall into the hands of Chaos forces. While it is known that corrupted Titans can be reforged into instruments of the Dark Gods, some theorists suggest that not all Titans claimed by Chaos are reforged into war machines. Instead, there are rumors of Titans that vanish entirely, believed by some to have been absorbed into the Immaterium as conduits for demonic entities. If true, this would imply that some Titan graveyards near warp rifts could be feeding grounds for demonic forces, where the essence of the fallen war engines is consumed to fuel unspeakable horrors. This idea is met with fierce skepticism from the Adeptus Mechanicus, who maintain that Titans, even in death, remain bound to their physical forms unless desecrated by warp sorcery. Another point of controversy is whether some Titan graveyards contain technologies that could revolutionize the Imperium's war efforts if recovered. There are whispered accounts of Titans equipped with lost archaeotech weapon systems, devices that could shatter entire fleets or create impenetrable void shields. These tales have led to countless unauthorized expeditions, driven by the hope of uncovering such treasures. However, the question remains whether these graveyards truly hold such wonders, or if they are simply monuments to the Imperium's inability to replicate its former technological prowess. The fear that these relics could fall into enemy hands only deepens the Imperium's obsession with securing and sanctifying these graveyards. Finally, there is the unsettling possibility that some graveyards may not be places of rest, but sites of imprisonment. Some theorists believe that a few of the Titans buried in these graveyards were not destroyed in combat, but deliberately dismantled because their machine spirits had become dangerously unstable or corrupted. If true, these sites could contain war engines that were never meant to be resurrected, locked away to prevent their destructive power from ever being unleashed again. This raises the grim question of whether the Imperium truly knows what slumbers in its graveyards, or if it has already forgotten the reason these Titans were entombed in the first place. The Titan graveyards remain steeped in mystery and speculation, with each unanswered question further deepening their mythic status. From their origins and defensive mechanisms to the fate of their inhabitants, these enigmatic sites continue to captivate the imaginations of scholars, soldiers, and historians alike. In a galaxy defined by war and secrecy, the graveyards are a stark reminder that some truths may be buried not to preserve honor, but to conceal fear. The Titan graveyards, with their vast fields of broken war machines, carry implications that will resonate far into the future, shaping the Imperium and the galaxy at large. These sites are more than remnants of past conflicts. They are reflections of the Imperium's strengths and failings, reminders of technological glory and irreversible loss. The long-term consequences of their existence are as complex as the graveyards themselves, raising questions about humanity's ability to sustain its war machine and the cultural, spiritual, and military repercussions that may arise. One of the most immediate concerns is the technological stagnation that the graveyards symbolize. Titans are among the most advanced constructs the Imperium has ever built, yet their losses often cannot be replaced due to the declining ability of the Mechanicus to replicate ancient technologies. If this trend continues, the Titan Legios may find themselves unable to recover from catastrophic losses. Over time, more battlefronts may be forced to abandon the use of Titans altogether, weakening the Imperium's military presence in critical sectors. This could embolden Xenos empires, Chaos warbands, and other threats, who would see the decline of the Legios as a sign that the Imperium's technological power is finally crumbling. In contrast, there is also the potential for progress born from desperation. The increasing scarcity of Titans may force the Adeptus Mechanicus to innovate, pushing them to rediscover or develop new methods of war engine construction. While this path is fraught with risk, particularly as the line between technological advancement and heresy is razor thin, it could lead to breakthroughs that change the very nature of Titan warfare. The rediscovery of lost technologies, though rare, has happened before, and some within the Mechanicus hope that the graveyards hold the key to recovering knowledge thought lost to time. However, this pursuit is a double-edged sword, as tampering with forbidden technologies could lead to disastrous consequences, from unstable reactors to rogue machine spirits. On a cultural level, the graveyards reinforce the narrative of sacrifice that permeates the Imperium. These vast fields of ruin are revered as symbols of loyalty, perseverance, and martyrdom. However, there is a darker potential. These sites may also deepen the Imperium's fatalistic mindset, feeding the belief that inevitable loss is a necessary part of existence. If this sentiment grows unchecked, it could foster a defeatist culture within certain imperial institutions, leading to commanders who are more willing to sacrifice Titans and soldiers alike in unwinnable battles, viewing their deaths as honorable inevitabilities rather than avoidable failures. The religious significance of the Titan graveyards is another factor that will shape the future. The ecclesiarchy's growing influence over these sites has the potential to strengthen imperial faith, but also to spark new conflicts. If the Adeptus Mechanicus and the ecclesiarchy continue to clash over the sanctity of these graveyards, it could escalate into open conflict with devastating consequences. Entire sectors could be destabilized by wars fought not against external enemies, but over who holds the right to dictate the legacy of the god machines. This internal strife could weaken the Imperium's ability to respond to external threats, especially if key Forge worlds or Shrine worlds are drawn into prolonged disputes. From a military standpoint, the Titan graveyards also represent a strategic vulnerability. As more graveyards are discovered or created by war, they become potential targets for scavengers, Xenos, and Chaos forces. If the Imperium fails to secure these sites, its enemies may exploit them, stripping them for resources or using them as staging grounds. The thought of traitor Titans rebuilt from graveyard remains is a nightmare scenario for the Imperium. The rise of corrupted war machines pieced together from Imperial wreckage would not only pose a physical threat, but also serve as a powerful symbol of the Imperium's fallibility. If stories of traitor Titans forged from loyalist remains spread, it could demoralize entire regiments and stir fear among Imperial citizens, eroding faith in the Imperium's invincibility. On the other hand, the potential for reclamation could also serve as a beacon of hope. Successful recovery and restoration of Titans from graveyards may bolster morale and strengthen Imperial propaganda, showing that even in death, the god machines serve humanity. If a particularly renowned Titan is resurrected after centuries of slumber, it could become a symbol of resilience and renewal, inspiring soldiers and citizens alike. However, such endeavors are rare and require immense resources, which the Imperium cannot always spare. In the wider context of galactic politics, the Titan graveyards also play a role in humanity's relationship with other factions. The Eldari, for example, view the destruction wrought by the Titans as scars upon reality itself. Some Eldari leaders have hinted that the unchecked growth of graveyards could destabilize key psychic pathways, potentially triggering catastrophic events within the Webway or the Immaterium. This creates the possibility of preemptive strikes by the Eldari aimed at destroying graveyards before they can awaken in some metaphysical sense, further escalating tensions between the species. The threat of graveyards attracting Tyranid hive fleets is another long-term concern. While the Tyranids have no interest in machinery, the biomass-rich remains of war-torn worlds surrounding these sites could draw their attention. Should a hive fleet consume a region containing multiple graveyards, it could cut off key recovery routes and make reclamation efforts impossible for centuries. The Imperium must therefore balance the need to secure these graveyards with the risk of spreading its forces too thin in the face of more immediate threats. Ultimately, the Titan graveyards serve as a reflection of the Imperium's resilience, but also its stubbornness. These sites are proof of the Imperium's willingness to pay any price to preserve its dominance, even if that price is ruinous. In the long run, the future of these graveyards may depend on whether the Imperium can evolve or if it will remain trapped in its cycle of sacrifice and stagnation. If innovation and recovery efforts succeed, the graveyards may one day be seen as a resource for renewal rather than as monuments to death. However, if the Imperium continues to rely on its failing traditions without adaptation, the graveyards will grow, becoming endless cemeteries of lost power and unreachable glory. In the end, the fate of the Titan graveyards may not only determine the future of the Legios, but serve as a microcosm for the fate of the Imperium itself. These colossal machines, symbols of humanity's defiance against oblivion, stand at the crossroads between survival and decline. Whether they remain as decaying relics or rise again as champions of war will shape the galaxy's future in ways that even the most gifted seers cannot yet predict.